There is another interesting thing. I thought that many know this or notice this, but apparently, probably some really mistaken this for something unimportant or brush it away, push it to the side. But listen, how we behave, for example, when we play something, even a game, let's say like collective game where you play with other people. You can witness the dynamics there. You can witness how it plays out. A game that includes roleplay, especially like with characters, where you gotta do something, where you gotta run and do something, do some quests, okay? You can literally witness a big and significant part of person's personality. You can also witness the dynamics in between people, and you can witness how someone might be uncomfortable, how someone might be pushy or a pushover, how someone might be selfish, self-centered, not caring about the team, and in between of these people, right? And you don't really say about games like that and how person approaches quests. They can learn how to do stuff right, but they will have their motivations, they will have their characteristics, they will have everything how they are as a person, and that they will use in order to gain more abilities, in order to gain more XP and, the quest related things and abilities. But their personality will remain as it is in its core. And this is exactly why, when we see, for example, where a person acts selfishly, goes against the group, the whole group says that they don't want to do something, that they want to save the team. But that person goes for it because screw it, let's go. And let's just go ahead and let's just do that one thing that nobody wants to do to save their asses. Just for the YOLOs. You might think that this is just like, oh, that's just a game anyway, so whatever. In actuality, no. This is a reflection of how this person operates and how they think. And this is a reflection of their true self. You truly can witness how a person's character is during a game. You truly can witness how they are going to go with their own thoughts, their own expression, their own ideas against everyone else, even when everyone else does it for the good of the team. You can witness who will put some support into you and who will not. You can witness who will try to actually aid for the team and to make something better for the team, and who will go completely against it. And when it goes to life, that person won't count you too. They will just go with what they feel like self expressing. They will go with what they want. So, oh, confirmation. Oh, sneeze, bro. Yeah, real. This person will do what they want. Don't get shocked when they do the same or extremely similar type of a way and similar thing in real life. Same about the internet. There's no such a thing as completely made up internet persona. Listen, if person made up a completely different internet persona than they truly are, that tells something about them. And that's what you want to pay attention to. That tells something really important about them. That's already a huge point blank that you should pay attention to. And we might really get people pass by with these things that they do in games or how they behave in such environments, well, that's the reflection of a person and how they are. And some might feel uncomfortable with pushovers, then there's another energy that's a pushover in the dynamic. Okay. And yeah, some might be the pushover. So yeah, you gotta pay attention to that. You can't just dismiss it as it's nothing, it's just a game. No, it's not. It's just internet. Nobody's real on the internet. Oh no, no, no. You're being gaslit. You're being gaslit. People show their reflection on the internet. They show part of themselves on the internet. And even if they fake themselves strongly on the internet, that already tells something about them that you should know. If they have a full on made up fake persona on the internet, that tells something about them. You cannot dismiss some type of social persona as something out of the person, how they are, outside of their self, outside of their reflection, because that's untrue. That's just not true. The way how a person behaves in games shows a reflection of their character, how they are, whether they are caring as a person, whether what they have interesting, what their motivations are. There's such a thing as game therapy, playing therapy, and it's like a sandbox type of a thingy, like a real sandbox, and it's psychological purely. It's what you put in that box and how you play it out. It's called, I believe, in English, I don't know how it's called in English, fantasy therapy, I don't know, but this is a real thing. It's psychology, and you can see how a person shows themselves. And in LARP games, you can see the dynamics of people who's a pushover, who's uncomfortable with that, who stands up for themselves against it. You can see all of that happening. It's not just a game, it's a reflection of people. They are not trained actors. Subconscious comes in such role plays. Those aren't written scripts. People act by impulse. Even if they think what they do, they act by impulse anyways. And you can see those little inklings of impulses, and this is exactly what you should pay attention to. Because that way you can determine an actual abuser. And I'm serious about this, completely serious right now. That way you can determine an actual abuser who's going to be selfish, reckless, and not pay attention to other people's feelings from what they do. And not because they have their own opinion, they think it would be better for the benefit of people and themselves. They just think about themselves. The YOLO swag attitude. They just think about themselves and they're selfish. And just as I heard another person talking about a topic similar to this, it was about that one incident where I believe her nickname is Isis, and she was like a trophy wife on YouTube, and she thought she found her prince. Unfortunately, that man turned out to be extremely abusive and abused her children. I don't want to mention how, but like, yeah, okay. It can be very triggersome. And that's the thing. People think that you can go with person for several years and then you get married and you're safe. But this is completely untrue. Blatantly untrue. Or they will change with marriage, or you will know new parts of them and you'll learn some new parts about them, of their core parts of their core personality. Like something will change with these parts. And the usual thing how it changes with these parts is that you get an outright abuser. Oh, someone really doesn't want me to talk about this. Someone really doesn't want me to talk about this. Does that resistance, does that, unwillingness to hear that. And that's true. Unfortunately, some people don't want to hear that. Some people actually want to blatantly stay in their abusive relationships because they don't want to hear what you have to say. Because on another part, they might be toxic themselves. They might be manipulating and controlling themselves. And that other person, in some cases, might be the reflection of the other. But they're different and they complement each other in the worst ways possible, to detriment of each other. No side grows. They're just being toxic to each other. Toxic dynamics. But some people also don't want to hear about this because they've been so conditioned in this reality and they want to remain stable. They want to have this stable family, foundation, relationship, whatever that is, that they found, the workplace that they found, the project that they found, right? They don't want to go away from this because that would hurt them immensely to change that. That would hurt them to drop that person because in abusive dynamics, you become addicted. Your hormones, your brain works in such fluctuations that you become addicted. This is similar to drug addicts. Withdrawals, heavy withdrawals happen when you cut off ties with a toxic, manipulative, abusive person because your brain has been so conditioned to that reality, it's tough to cut it off. It's tough to come clean. And when you cut off that dynamic, you come clean. Yeah, you come clean. You come clean from abusing yourself. Similar to drugs. Because these things affect brain dynamics. And yeah, some people don't want to hear that. Because it crushes their brain. It crushes their self-perception that has been made upon this relationship. And the thing is, when you don't have an established understanding of who you are, if you get in a relationship, and usually that's a toxic one, 2 to 2 on the clock. Usually that's a toxic one. Moderately to highly toxic. And you might not notice that, especially at first, but then you're already conditioned. And when you do not know yourself and who you truly are, you're not going to establish that personality through this relationship dynamic. That's a toxic dynamic. That's to detriment to yourself. You are losing yourself in that relationship. You're losing that lost part of yourself, you're adapting it. Like some Neuralink, you're adapting it to the other person. And you remain in the toxic dynamic, and no matter how swollen the dynamic is, how swollen it makes your soul with that adaptation, you still are there because you get attached. And this is the composure of a dynamic of codependency. This is codependency. That's that toxicity. When you don't know who you are, when you don't know significant parts of yourself, and yet you are with this person and they swallow you whole. If they're more or a lot more toxic than you, they swallow you whole. They will not help you develop yourself because you even notice in patterns how they're acting to your detriment, but you don't want to hear that. And maybe some of you do, but many people don't want to hear that. I'm gonna be really real here. Some people don't want to grow out of this dynamic and they choose to appeal to and appease to that person. They become sort of like a soul servant to that person because they are so attached to that other individual that toxic bond is swollen. Even when they're swollen red from the abuse, from the emotional deception, from the emotional um how to call it, discharge, emotional, yeah, real emotional discharge. It's like when they act towards you emotionally and you feel discharged, aka you don't feel that reflection, you don't feel that actual healthy interaction that will make you grow and flourish with the green energy. You don't feel that. It's heart chakra energy. You don't feel that. It's to your detriment. And these all things I mentioned are heavily connected because it's a whole pattern of things. It's a whole thing how you can paint a psychological portrait if you actually want to pay attention to it. If you actually want to pay attention to it. If you don't want to downplay these things. If you're not thinking that, oh, with time things will change, they will not. The person has a core. The person is how they are and they want change. And you either accept that reality and you choose to change yourself and then you out resonate with the person, you finally cut yourself off. And you finally set yourself free. Or you continue to be codependent and you become part of that mossy thing with the person. And unfortunately, some people don't want to grow. And you gotta face this. If you are a helper of people, supporter of people, if you are whatever, starseed light worker, I don't know, whatever you identify with in that type of sense. Identification is a bad word for this stall because it's not that you identify as that, it's that it's told to you. It's told to you and reflected to you. There will be people. There will be people, significant, esoteric, and healing people who will come to you in life, randomly approach, and want to tell you that you are special. There's something special about you. But the narcs will stay silent about this. Don't ever expect a narc to tell you you're special. They will tell this only with some type of a benefit for themselves. When they compliment you, they want to get something from you. Materially, energetically, usually energetically, though. A narc goes for a powerful person, they don't go for someone that's weak. Because crushing someone powerful is of importance to them, because that gives them that validation they never had in their life. But the point is, their soul is so corrupted that even if they had that validation, they would want to crush more and more and more. And that's the whole thing. And all these things are tied together. All these things are interlinked, and all these things are important. Pay attention to your relationships, friendships, connections, anything. You gotta pay attention. You gotta start opening your eyes, paying attention, and actually giving that benefit of a doubt, giving that self work. That growth is the hardest. It's not material. Spiritual work is the hardest. It will take emotional efforts to grow through this. It will take soul crushing efforts sometimes. But you gotta do what you gotta do in order to grow. And again, some people choose not to. But then their soul just becomes corrupted. Their energetic core becomes corrupted. And you can't help such people. You just can move on, let them grow for themselves if they ever will. And another person told a very interesting thing, another reader. Um Alice Love Exists told such an interesting thing. She said that sometimes when you actually cut people off, then the transformation begins. When you release. I mean I've known this before, but as I like to say, we all need reminders. We all need these reminders. We all need to hear certain stuff at certain times. And yup, somebody really hates me spilling all of this. Oh, I'm telling. Someone's with an arc, with an abuser. I mean, toodles, kudos to that. I don't know. Let's drink to that. That's really cringy, though. Don't like. Okay. Yeah, I'm telling. Someone's with an arc, with a manipulative abuser, and you probably know this, and you probably don't want to hear this. So, yeah, that's that. Wow. Okay, this has gotten really toxic. Yup. Not only that, someone's like speaking some ish about me. Because I spill this stuff. Well, I'll continue spilling it anyway, so you can't do anything about this, bruh. So, yeah, toodles. Thank you for anyone who listened, and I hope this helped you. Yeah, it's really weird. There's some resistance energetically. Like, don't say this. And I'm seeing like snake, like, don't say this. Ooh, spicy. Anyways, yeah. I hope this helped somebody. You gotta use your discernment. You gotta use your discernment, and you gotta do the soul work. Yeah, someone wants me to portray myself kind of clownish or something like that, so I wouldn't be able to speak correctly. I mean, this is not really usual for me to have so many, how to say, mistaken words, so many mistaken. You know when you're meddling with something. Someone could be meddling with somebody. Someone is literally like a servant to somebody, trying to appease them, trying to appeal them. Bro, like, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? What are you doing with yourself? It's giving cringe to your own self, to your own personality. What are you even doing with your life? Okay, thank you for listening.